I have a book called Franchise Freedom. We wrote back in 2020. I put a copy over here. So it's right on our website. And it really is the exact blueprint I use to find the franchise. It's sounds kind of cheesy, but you have to look inward. So what do I mean by that? Number one, you need to know why the heck you want to do this. Without that why, I'm self-employed 20 years full time. I've had side business. It's been over 25 years. If you don't have that why, the reason for doing so, yes, we all want to make more money. But for me, it was, we never saw dad because he was at the restaurant. So we saw him by working at the restaurant because we were open 7 days a week at some point. So by having that why, it's okay, this is the reason I want to create time freedom because I don't want to miss. Like I launched my business in '07 and we were expecting our first child later that year. So I said, I want to set this up so I don't miss any soccer games because that's, I was hoping my son would play soccer and he did, but from the age of 4 to 18, never missed a game. And that's my success story. Not a lot of people could say that. Maybe they have a fancy car, but they're missing every event working 100 hours a week. So my whole thing is, getting super clear the why, because there's going to be ups and downs in entrepreneurship. There's going to be rough times. The economy's up, stock market's down. You have to get through those times and you have to be clear on what this ideal business looks like. Not, it depends. The independence should be really removed from the vocabulary. It should really be like, in the perfect world, money aside, everything aside, I want a business that runs from home, is under maybe a couple $100,000, and I have no employees. I want to run it on my own, but I'm able to use a subcontractor when needed. It's okay. It's okay to have preferences to see if those businesses exist. But once you get clear, now you're like, okay, this is my ideal business. What is out there? So now this universe of 4,000 franchise companies starts to narrow down. It's like this funnel. You start out really wide and kind of work your way in. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, of 4,000 franchise companies involved in Boston, Massachusetts, as we kind of go down, we realize there's 4 or 5 companies that check off every box that are available in my market within my investment range. So once you have that model, those characteristics, then that's when I look into the market, not only to see what franchises are available, but what resales are available as well.
So when it comes to franchises, how much of it is opportunistic versus lifestyle dependent? Meaning, how much of it is, okay, like poke bowls are the hot thing, like I should do something like that, versus like, okay, I want this kind of working arrangement. I want this level of I don't know, involvement, things like that.
My coaching is all around the match and the opportunity, right? Making sure that, in a Pokeball franchise, the idea of Pokeball has nothing to do with your role in the business. A Pokeball, just as an example, maybe, you have to go out, never make or work in the store, but you need to be out there networking. You need to be out there on podcasts, whatever that the ideal franchise avatar is. So the franchise is not looking for your experience. Experience, honestly, in a Pokeball business, if you worked at a restaurant, could be a positive or negative depending on the brand, because if you're in a very similar space, it's hard to unlearn if you're set and doing something the same way. In other cases, it can be a positive, but ultimately the franchisor does not want you, really operating too much. They want you working on the business, working on the important stuff, figuring out the next location, bringing on the new general manager, that kind of thing, the strategy, the reviewing the KPIs. So I think if you want a business you're interested in, but also keeping in mind that what your role is in the business, those are going to be two different things. So if you really like numbers like for example, an expense reduction franchise, not accounting, but just expense reduction, you may love numbers, but you may be very introverted. That business may not work because the franchisee's role in that business is to network, is to present, is to talk to people face to face. So yes, there's interest in the service, but maybe it doesn't align with the role of the franchisee. So I think the biggest missing part. And when people look at franchises is that they don't know who the franchise avatar is. It doesn't list it in the top 500 franchise. You only get that by speaking directly with the franchisor. So I think if you get everything lined up, yes, you want interest in the business. Maybe you own a painting franchise and that's not your passion. I don't know of many people that are passionate about painting a home, but that specific franchise has a charity. They give back to the community by painting a home for someone in need. It allows you to network with the chamber and never pick up a paint roller. And now you have a completely different model when you look at it from the aspect of the actual role of the franchisee.